Welcome to True Crime with Strategic Eyes.
Strategic back again. All right, guys, welcome to another edition of True Crime Strategic. Appreciate you guys for joining us today. We do have some updates on this Nancy Guthrie case, this never-ending saga of trying to find where is Nancy. It's like we're looking for Carmen Sandiego or Waldo or something like that. It's very sad because it really has turned into a bit of a spectacle. So unfortunately, of course, Nancy is missing and we want to make sure that we find Nancy. But the way this case has been handled, well, you know, it hasn't been handled the most professionally, if you ask me. That's just my opinion, ladies and gentlemen. So listen, before we get started, we're going to jump right into this because for those of you who pay attention, I've been working like crazy. I worked the night shift, barely slept. So we're going to try and get through this because then I have to go to work in the morning tomorrow morning. And we're like going through this massive blizzard. And you guys know for what I do for a living, calling out is not an option, all right? They rather you be late than you call out. So I got to definitely go in this blizzard. So we're going to jump through this. We're going to run through it so I can get some sleep. Please make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel yet. And also make sure that you hit that like button and you engage in the chat so we could get into the algorithm and the show could be shown to a wider audience. We're going to jump into this right now. Big shout out to all my members and my Patreon subscribers who are watching us right now. Consider joining the members in the Patreon if you haven't done so already. So there's some evidence that's just popped up out in the news. We want to definitely cover this. And I think I missed this. I think I missed it, but people have been talking about it, and I want to bring it to your attention if you mixed it like me. Let's jump into this.
Is the suspect in the Nancy Guthrie kidnapping wearing a pinky ring? Look, the outline of what appears to be a signet ring or perhaps a class ring is visible beneath the glove.
There's a very circular indentation in the glove.
I think it's very possible there's a ring underneath. And to me, the reason that can be significant is after somebody is arrested, they will be looking for that ring.
FBI agents are canvassing gun shops in the Tucson area with as many as 24 names and photos of potential suspects, looking for someone who bought the gun seen in the surveillance video at Nancy's front door. Detectives continue to search Walmart sales records for whoever bought the backpack the suspect is wearing.
Even if they paid cash, we could still have that person's image on the cameras.
But going through the sheer volume of backpacks sold is a Herculean task.
I think there's some 6,000 backpacks just going back 20 or 30 days of that backpack that was sold in the state of Arizona.
Meanwhile, DNA samples found at Nancy Guthrie's home and a discarded glove are being run through commercial databases in the hopes of tracing the suspect through a blood relative.
Right.
The technique helped track Brian Koberger, the killer of those 4 Idaho University students.
I mean, listen, am I going to ask for Walmart to send us all backpacks that were sold in the state of Arizona? I think that's kind of dumb. I think you kind of start off small and then you widen out your dragnet if you come up with nothing, right? So for manpower purposes, why are we going to look at the whole state of Arizona when we could just focus on maybe those Walmarts that are within that 10-mile radius in that community, see what we get there, and then widen it out if we get nothing, right? Because you're not just looking for all backpacks that were sold. You're looking for backpacks that were sold to specifically a male, right? Then clearly this guy is not African American, so you could exclude all black people, right? Clearly, from his eyes, he's not Asian, or at least what we'd stereotypical look for from the phenotypes of an Asian person, so we could just exclude most Southeast Asians, right? We're looking for either a Latino or a Caucasian male, and that kind of narrows it down a lot, you know? So, I mean, I don't know. Let's keep going, though.
C.C. Moore is a pioneer in the use of genetic genealogy in solving crimes.
I suspect the longest it will take is weeks. And whoever this person is who took Nancy and left their DNA behind at the crime scene, they better be concerned because they will be identified through investigative genetic genealogy. It really is just a matter of time.
In an eerie coincidence, Savannah Guthrie wrote about a kidnapping game that she and her family members used to play as children when they lived in...
You said a kidnapping game, man. Isn't that irony? That sucks. Howdy, by the way. Sheriff Strategic is here. Let's keep going.
Tucson. The Today Show co-host recalled the game in her best-selling memoir, Mostly What God Does.
Once a year, in the summertime, Cousin Terry orchestrated a kidnapping of my sister and me. We would all pile into her rickety station wagon and head north, Somewhere between Phoenix and Tucson, Terry would make a pit stop and let Annie and me call home at a payphone. "Mom, Cousin Terry kidnapped us to take us to her house." My mother would feign shock, protest how terribly she would miss us, then assure us she'd drive up to retrieve us in a few days.
Savannah's Today Show colleagues wore yellow ribbons and decorated the set with yellow roses, symbols of hope.
We send our love to Savannah and her family.
Sad stuff, man. We're looking for Nancy, man. Everybody's praying. We all want Nancy to come home. Let's go to the next exhibit.
In the search for Nancy Guthrie, we are going to News Nation's senior national correspondent, Brian Enton, who is live on the ground in Tucson, Arizona tonight. Brian, tell us the very latest in
Yo,
this.
that is amazing slogan. I think I said it. That's why she said it in the chat, Jennifer. That's going to be our campaign slogan when we're running for Pima County Sheriff. Vote for the man of the sun, strategic eyes. That's right. I'm the man of the sun, ladies and gentlemen. Give me your vote. Let's keep going.
Also, what are we hearing about any potential DNA tech issues, mixed DNA?
I mean, you'd expect to find this DNA with mixtures. I would be very surprised based off the fact that they're pulling DNA off of doorknobs, pulling DNA off of cameras that may have, that were destroyed but are still there. Pulling DNA off of whatever may have been touched inside of that house that we don't know about. Because remember, a lot is my belief that a lot happened in that house that we don't know about. Like, what is the probability you're going to have all of the blood that we find in the front of the house, but that blood is not in the house? You better believe there's blood in the house. You better believe it. I think one of the reasons why they kind of stamped down the whole fact that there's blood in that house is because, remember, for the first few hours of this case, the Pima County Sheriff's Department categorized it as a missing person. If they were to be honest about all of the blood that was probably in that house and the fact that that house was probably in disarray, they would have to admit that they were wrong, that they messed up. You're not supposed to classify something that's clearly a burglary or kidnapping as a missing person if clearly it's not a missing person. It doesn't make sense. If you got a dead body on the ground, you don't say, oh, this is a theft. Oh, no, I got a homicide. And you immediately investigate it as a homicide. They started investigating this as though grandma, who could barely walk 40 feet without help, decided she just wanted to up and disappear on her own. Make that make sense. So I think it makes a lot of sense that they keep downplaying the fact that inside of that house is probably just as much as a scary crime scene as the crime scene we saw outside of the house. All right, Keith. Oh, I almost dropped my mouse. Please hit that like button, support the channel so we can get in that algorithm. Let's keep going.
Yeah, a couple of new developments coming in late tonight, Natasha. First of all, you mentioned the mixed DNA. The sheriff, the Pima County Sheriff, did an interview with NBC News, and he's now saying that the samples are mixed, which this is something that we haven't heard before. I wrote down what he said. The samples are mixed, and DNA from more than one person is contained in some of these DNA samples that they are trying to test and get results from. Specifically, we know that they're especially interested in the DNA from inside Nancy Guthrie's house, DNA that doesn't belong to Nancy Guthrie and then doesn't belong to anyone within her inner circle. But apparently that DNA, again, they're calling it as mixed, and that it's from more than one person, which is apparently making it a little more complicated. Remember, the sheriff sent the DNA to a Florida lab, a private lab that the sheriff's office here uses. There's a little bit of drama there with the FBI. FBI wanted a lot of the evidence to go to their lab in Quantico. At the end of the day, the sheriff decided to stick with the lab that they're used to, which is the lab in Florida. So hopefully—
And this is the thing, like these private labs, we got to ask ourselves, is it accredited? Government labs have to be accredited. Like, we don't know what their practices are. I mean, I'm pretty sure that the lab is doing the work the way it needs to be done. I'm not in any way trying to cast doubt on it. I'm just saying, like, when you're going to these private labs, you don't really know what you're getting. Like, when I hear of governments going to private labs for DNA, it is world-renowned labs that are doing cutting-edge testing that is too expensive for the government right now. We're talking about you're sending one sample to get a special test that might cost $50,000, and it's a serial killer case or it's a cold case, and this is what's going to solve it, and the people have decided that it's worth the taxpayers' expense. You don't send regular work to a private lab. I mean, obviously, a lot of departments do it, but most don't, because you want to have it in your state lab where the practices are all set and they're accredited and it's just vetted through time and volume, that you could trust the results that are coming from this lab. Private labs come and go. They go bankrupt, they make money, they don't make money, they get bought out by other companies, blah, 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 blah. That's the private sector. Government labs are like institutions. They're just there. And supposedly you're supposed to rely on them. Why you would choose a private lab owned by Joe Schmo in Florida, some hedge fund company or whatever, over the FBI in Quantico is beyond me. Let's keep going.
They'll be able to sort that out because DNA is obviously a huge, huge part of this case. Something else interesting that the sheriff said new tonight is he said they have no names. There's not a name of the suspect that they have behind the scenes. At least that's what he's saying publicly. Remember, we reported last week that the FBI was going around to different gun shops in Tucson with a list of 40 names and 40 photos showing employees of the gun shops the names and the photos, seeing if they looked familiar, if they'd been in the store, if they'd bought a weapon. But again, tonight, the sheriff is saying that they have no names. Natasha?
Yeah, appreciate that. And meanwhile, what are they saying about cooperation with their counterparts south of the border and the likelihood that she could have been taken to Mexico? Is that something that they're seriously looking at?
It seems like they are, because we know that the FBI was in touch with Mexican officials very, very early on. Our Libby Dean reported that tonight, that they called Mexico almost immediately to ask them questions about the investigation. Mexico, the law enforcement there, is now saying that they have no reason to believe that Nancy Guthrie is in Mexico. You just can't ignore how close it is, though. I mean, it takes anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half to get to Mexico from Nancy.
All right, so now that they're saying Mexico is out of it. I mean, listen, once they said that the FBI and, Homeland Security looked at specific cameras that they have that monitor the poorest parts of the border. Remember, guys, this is not the border of a few years ago. You guys know we don't deal with politics here. We deal with facts. This is not the border of a few years ago. There's been a lot of money put into the border to surveil it. And so when they said that they have cameras in that area and other sensors to monitor those porous areas of the border where there are no big walls and gates and all that good stuff, I believe them. Because we all know from just paying attention to the news, that a lot of money has gone down into that border. So I believe them at least. You don't have to believe them. It doesn't matter. I believe them. I support law enforcement. So once they said that, to me, her going to Mexico was out of the box. I don't know where Nancy's at. That's the problem. I don't know. I don't know where she's at. But if she's still alive, she's going to be local. That's what I'm thinking. Let's keep going. But listen, how many of these stories have we seen where people have been spirited away and they're not far from where they live? If somebody has you as a prisoner, unless someone who knows that you're there, who's maybe a part of that camp or friend or relative, unless they say something, it's very difficult for law enforcement to find you, even if you're just 4 or 5 houses away. Now, we know that law enforcement did go within the houses in that community, and my understanding is that pretty much all of those homeowners were gracious enough to allow law enforcement to come into their homes and conduct a cursory search. I get that. But, listen, maybe she's within 10, 15 miles of where she lives. Let's keep going.
This house where I'm standing right now, it's so easy to cross the border. You don't even have to show an ID or answer any questions. You just go right in, whether you're walking, driving. So it seems like a possibility that investigators have to keep open.
And Brian, very quickly, is there a lot of cartel activity in this area?
There is, and there are kidnappings that have happened in this area involving the cartel, although all the local law enforcement that I've spoken to has said this just doesn't show any signs of being a...
And kidnappings are people who are involved with the Mexican drug trade. Notice, like if they were rich people in that area who were just being kidnapped for ransom, like this was Tijuana, we would have heard about this already. What you're hearing is people of Latin, Central, North American, because my Mexican colleague, who's also a friend of mine, corrected me. and let me know that Mexico is considered North America. I didn't know that. I thought it was Central America. Shame on me, because I'm a very learned person. At least I think I am. So we're talking about North American Latinos, Central American and South American Latinos who have ties to Mexico, who unfortunately have some type of dealings, whether it's them or their family members, with the cartel. Those are the people who are being kidnapped by the cartel in that area. You're not getting the run-of-the-mill African-American, Puerto Rican or Dominican Latino or Caucasian grandma getting kidnapped, because those demographics typically don't have any dealings with the Mexican cartel. They're kidnapping people, sure, but they're kidnapping people who are involved in their business. Nobody's kidnapping Savannah Guthrie's mother. Even though Savannah Guthrie's a multimillionaire, nobody's kidnapping her mother in the Mexican mafia. That's not how they do business. Let's keep going.
Cartel-related kidnapping, they're usually more organized, they're in and out quickly. Plus, what would the motive be for them to take an 84-year-old woman like Nancy Guthrie? So I don't think it's cartel-related, but whoever did it, it's possible that they could have taken Nancy into Mexico again just because it's so close.
Yeah, it was so interesting to see how easy it was for you to clear that checkpoint. As senior national correspondent Brian Enton, live for us on the ground in Tucson, Arizona, yet again tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching.
All right, let's keep going, man. This is interesting stuff. Now, this is the sheriff. The sheriff doesn't want YouTubers to be there. Now, for some strange reason, I don't, maybe it's my imagination. I think it's probably my imagination. But for some strange reason, as soon as I announced my candidacy for the sheriff of Pima County, he all of a sudden don't want YouTubers around. So I'd like to apologize to all these YouTubers, including JLR and all those good folks down there, because you are being derided by the sheriff of Pima County because of me. Because True Crime with Strategic is running for sheriff of Pima County. Let's keep going.
Cops say they've had it with the army of YouTube streamers camped out in front of Nancy Guthrie's home.
Now we're here at Nancy's home to try to just get some information.
True crime influencers from across the nation have descended on Tucson, streaming for hours on end.
Who's that guy? Who's him?
Now there is a person that they did spot with a backpack.
Guys, help me identify these guys. Who's the guy in the red?
Going through someone's gate.
Any snippet of information becomes major breaking news streamed live.
We heard the guy go in, but when he was coming out, he said, "I got it. I got it."
Somebody said Mark. Somebody said John. You guys got to choose. The guy in the red, who is he? This is JLR. We know who this guy in the red is. I'm talking about the other guy in the red. But let's keep going.
Know what that is.
Jimmy Williams sits in a lawn chair streaming.
And who's Jimmy Williams? What's the name of his channel? I'm just curious.
Around the clock. In this live stream, he teases shocking chaos at the Guthrie house. So what was the chaos? He got in an argument with Nancy Guthrie's neighbor over where he parked his car.
The only action that's been out here is when the lady called the police on me.
Distractions like that, standing out here.
All right, this is the thing, all right? Number one, I think YouTubers have every right to be out there just like the mainstream media. But the more that we start encroaching on what was established media and becoming the new media, because we're winning. YouTubers, TikTokers, we're winning. People trust us more than they trust these folks. Think about it, right? Whether you like JLR or not, JLR is out there live streaming for hours. He's giving his commentary. You decide whether you want to listen to his commentary or not. But he's live streaming for hours. What does the mainstream media do? The mainstream media is out there for hours, but they only show you 5 minutes, 95 minutes, 30 seconds of footage. What happened to the other 9 hours of footage? They're showing you what they want to show you. They're manufacturing the narrative for you. I don't want news anymore. When I was 20 and I didn't want to think and I wanted other people to think for me because I was too immature to understand what it is to be an adult, I didn't mind the mainstream media thinking for me, the government thinking for me. But now I'm a man, all right? Now I'm a leader of a home. Now I'm a leader in my community. Now, most importantly, I'm a father, and it's my duty to build a world that is suitable and safe for my children to grow up in and thrive. Well, guess what? I don't want people to think for me anymore. And that's what we do here on YouTube and on TikTok and on Instagram, we're engaging audiences to think for themselves. So guess what? I do have to agree, though, with the mainstream media in one avenue. As we start taking over their mantle, carrying that torch into the future, we do have to move in a way that's respectful of others. Yes, Nancy Guthrie is the biggest case out here and everybody wants to cover it, but don't park in front of somebody's driveway. That's disrespectful. I'm a property rights person. I would be pissed off too. I would. I would be 1,000% upset if I'm trying to leave my property and I can't because you parked in front of my property. So I agree. But the fact that they're trying to use these minor things to try and discredit what these folks are doing out there, I don't agree with that. That's trash. And what it is they're afraid. That's all it is. They're afraid that there's new sheriffs in town, and those sheriffs might be doing a better job than the mainstays, the old guard. But at the same time, that new generation of true crimers, of news people, we also have to engage in what we do respectfully, and we also have to understand that, guess what? If we're going to be in a scene, we got to do it classy. We got to do it right. So yeah, don't argue. If you parked in front of somebody's property, don't argue with them. Just move. Don't be a weirdo. Only weirdos argue with people when they know that they're wrong. But let's keep going. I wasn't there. I'm not taking sides. I'm just saying in general. I wasn't there. I'm not taking sides. I'm just saying we have to respect the people around us as we go out there and do God's work. And I got nothing but respect for all of these people for doing God's work, but you got to do it in a classy way. Let's keep going.
And screaming how bad the sheriff is. How does that help this investigation move forward?
Streamer Damian Enderly says his audience is hungry for coverage of the case and blames a lack of information from law enforcement for the surge in conspiracy theories.
Right now, it's kind of spiraled in so many directions, and the sheriff has not had a press conference.
They're actually doing more harm than good right now.
Arizona State Legislator Alma Hernandez has a blunt message.
Yo, she got the mascara on, bro. Is that what it's called? Mascara? Like, damn.
Message for the streamers.
At the end of the day, if they really truly want to be helpful, they should probably go home.
Sloppy influencers and would-be sleuths.
Chris Cuomo is also slamming.
This guy. We're going to listen to this guy. The guy that told us don't leave your house during COVID. He was attending cocktail parties. He was pretending like he was hiding in his basement. Yeah, I said it. Aki going to be like, stop. Look, Chris Cuomo never going to let me on his show. So I don't care. Okay? Chris Cuomo's a fraud. So let's keep going, all right? We remember you, okay? That's why they kicked you off of CNN or wherever you was at. All right? We remember you. Let's keep going.
The streamers and podcasters, he really went after Megyn Kelly for focusing.
He told us that we were all like anti-American. He told us that we were horrible human beings if we left our houses. Meanwhile, he was pretending to be in his basement, and as soon as his cameras turned off, he left his basement, would go to parties, go hanging out, go bike riding with his kids. The New York Post and the Daily News was catching him riding around Long Island with his kids, having a grand old time, and then coming on camera and telling us we're horrible human beings. Let's keep going. I'm sorry.
A lot of attention on Savannah Guthrie's brother-in-law.
Hockey mad. Look at her. She mad in the comment section. She's like, let's keep going. Let's keep going. We're having fun here, guys.
Who has been cleared of any suspicion in the case.
She doesn't know a damn thing.
Kelly is hitting back.
Nobody watches his show on News Nation, and I mean nobody. And therefore, he gets upset at anybody who does well, like our show, and he gets jealous.
They're going to war. Him and Megyn Kelly going to war. Let's keep going, man. This is interesting. So, all right, they don't want us out there, all right? I'm coming, all right? I'm going on vacation. I told you the vacation slots is open. It's open for this month. I'm going to choose a vacation this month. We going out there. We going to Pima County. We're going to Pima County, ladies and gentlemen.
To the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, tonight investigators are now signaling that they're open to the possibility that masked suspect at her front door might have had an accomplice. Here's Aaron Katursky with what he's learned tonight.
Tonight, nearly 3 weeks after Nancy Guthrie was taken from her home in the middle of the night, investigators say the masked man on her doorstep may have had an accomplice, though they're pointing to no new evidence. The sheriff's department saying investigators are not ruling out the possibility that more than one person may be involved.
Sheriff's Department, can you please hold? Is this in regards to the Nancy Guthrie case?
And with hundreds of tips pouring in every day, investigators are now urging the public not to waste their time.
We don't have the capacity to entertain thoughts and theories.
Thoughts and theories, I like that. Because they're getting these, listen, there's people who, there's just different. There's just different people out there, their hearts mean well, but they don't possess a solid grasp of reality and logic. So this woman is missing, and you're going to be home on your couch, and you're going to say, you know what? I have a theory. I think that the pizza man contracted with the milkman, and the milkman contacted the aliens, and my psychic friend on Twitter said that the pool man took her. Let me call up this hotline here and let them know about this theory with the psychic and the pizza and the pool man and the milkman. Come on, man. And these aren't crazy people. They just wackadoos. Come on. Stop it. You could hit me up like that because I'm true crimer and I love theories. But don't call the police line. It's not that when you hit me up. It's cool. It's a theory. There's no such thing as a bad theory when you're talking to a show that's just throwing theories out there and we're just kind of figuring this out together. That's welcomed here on this platform. But don't go waste the police time with that stuff. That's crazy. That's like me doing that to them. That's crazy. Anyway, you guys are amazing. Keep Okay, I'm sorry. I got distracted for something real quick. Please hit the like button. Support the channel, guys. We have almost 600 people watching this right now. Only 237 likes. Support the channel, please.
That's why the direct questioning comes into play. Do you have viable suspect information?
A tip could break the case open because right now investigators are finding their best leads are coming up empty. Partial DNA recovered from inside the house is still being analyzed. There is no additional video from her home security system and no vehicle of interest. But there are still critical searches through neighborhood cameras, computer servers, and sales records at Walmart, which sells the suspect's backpack.
It's easy to get discouraged because we all want the successful resolution to this case. But privately, the agents and the deputies behind the scenes are working as hard as they can. I guarantee you there's a lot more than we know about that's happening.
Sources.
Yeah, it's impossible to know if some of those tips haven't panned out to something actually tangible. They're not going to tell us. But definitely, I guarantee you the vast majority of those 4,000 tips is just bull crap. And it's just people that just have a lot of time on their hands. Many of them are well-meaning. Some of them are malicious. But I'm pretty sure, and I hope at least just a few of those, even if it's just 1%, is actually a viable tip and can help bring Nancy home. Let's keep going.
Tell ABC News, Savannah Guthrie and her siblings are aware certain leads have not been panning out, and eventually resources may have to scale back.
We are at an hour of desperation, and we need your help.
Savannah has repeatedly pleaded for help from the public, knowing it could be a viewer anywhere in the country who spots something in this video.
Now check this out. I want to go back to this video real quick. Somebody asked what about the camera that was taken off the roof from the back? I don't think they're going to get any video off that camera. Remember, they got video off of the Ring. Excuse me, why did I say Ring? I've been the one correcting people this whole time. It's not a Ring doorbell. It's a Google Nest doorbell. They got video off the Google Nest doorbell because that doorbell was destroyed. That doorbell is streaming off the internet. He ended up pulling that doorbell off of the door and disabling it. So whatever was being recorded from this particular device ended. It's done. On the other hand, in the back of the house, that was a solar-powered Nest camera. And they did not find that camera for many days after she went missing. Remember, that was one of the last cameras to be removed from the home. And this was like, day 5 when they removed that camera? Day 6? I hope I'm wrong and it was day 3 or day 4, but I might be wrong and it might have been day 9. One of you guys are going to know in the chat because you guys are the best chat on YouTube. The bottom line is that camera continued to record video footage. It continued to record video footage that entire time because even if they turned off all of the power in that home, which they probably did not. Why would they do that for? I've never turned off power in a crime scene before. That camera was not being powered by 120 volts from a home outlet. That camera was being powered by solar power, and it has a battery backup built into the camera. How do I know this? I have the exact same cameras providing security services for my home. So unlike the front doorbell, which stopped recording at a specific time when it was tampered with and destroyed by the robber, this camera continued to re-record over itself for days, 24 hours a day, for days. I find it hard to believe. It might be possible, and I'm praying that it's possible. So if I'm wrong, I am happy to be wrong. But I find it hard to believe that they would be able to actually pull video off of that camera after that camera has been recording for so long, because unfortunately, investigators missed that camera initially on day one and allowed that camera to sit on the top of the roof collecting that beautiful, direct desert Arizona sun on that solar panel, keeping that battery fully charged and recording everything that was happening on that property since she was missing. I guarantee you they will recover detectives and FBI agents on that camera. They'll recover, I don't know, jackals or whatever they got out in that desert. I don't know, rattlesnakes. They'll recover the pizza man who was going up there to deliver stuff. They'll recover the pool man that was back there fixing the pool. They'll recover everything but that robber / kidnapper. Why? Because they left that camera on that roof too long. Let's keep going.
Theo.
This is everybody's grandmother that we're looking for here, and they're horrified by it. So I think the vast majority of people want to do the right thing.
And 20 days on, David, the FBI is still trying to figure out who wrote those ransom notes and whether they were even real, any path that could lead them to Nancy Guthrie. David?
Aaron Katursky from Tucson again tonight.
All right, man, we're moving along. We're powering along, guys. So FBI Director Kash Patel, this is the initial videos that they released. All right. And I missed this, man, and I apologize for that because you guys are here to get my keen insight, and I appreciate that. I appreciate your trust, but geez, I missed this. I saw it later on, and I thought somebody photoshopped it. It just did not dawn on me that this is what was originally released by the FBI. Now, I'm still skeptical of it because there might have been artifacts that were involved in this. But then again, I don't think so. I'm not sure. There's just only two explanations. There's 3 explanations for this. And so when the FBI originally released it, they released these pictures that we have here. These are the ones that I focused on. We all saw those pictures, all right? And then a video. But then they released this. They released this. And I didn't notice this. I saw it later on and thought somebody photoshopped and manipulated it. But I see I got an email. I'll go check that in a second. I thought somebody manipulated this, but they didn't. This is from the FBI. Now we have three explanations for this. One, there's 2 assailants that decided that they were going to dress identically, because if you look at this guy, you can see the line here. He got light colored shoes with a little reflector here. You see the line here, and you see the zipper. You go back over here, you see the zipper, and you see the line here. So either it's 2 suspects who are dressed identically, which is really smart if they did that. It makes it hard to tell who's who. It could be the same suspect who came and initially surveyed the area, did some reconnaissance, and then maybe this was a test. I go in front of the door. I see that there's a Nest doorbell. There's some video surveillance. Is the person going to wake up and come to the door? Then I'll know that that this is not the place I should burglarize, whatever. I don't know. And then he did his reconnaissance rather. And then he went and he got the equipment that we saw him with, and then he came back. That could be the second option. So the first option is 2 people. The second option is 1 guy doing reconnaissance without the backpack and the gun, then leaving to go back and get the gun in the backpack, and then coming back with the iconic photo that we know here. And then the third one could be that there could be some type of artifact in because they're trying to reconstruct a video footage, and, you know, maybe we're missing some pixels and stuff like that. But even if that's the case, why don't we see that prominent holster in his front? Even if he had his shirt over the holster is so big, it goes all the way down to his crotch. So you'd still be able to see the holster. Why don't we see that there? Even if the pixels, maybe the straps disappeared or something, why don't we see the holster? So that's the least probable explanation as to why we see this picture. That's the least probable. So the more probable is that we have either two assailants or one person who left the equipment, checked out the property, then got the equipment and returned to the property. That's where I'm at this point. I'm leaning more towards it being two people. Just because I don't believe that this person would be able to accomplish all that they've accomplished so far without help. Without help. Let's keep going to the next exhibit. And this is more, basically more. Yeah. And then he comes back and, you know, I don't know. It's like, I'm sorry. Let me bring it back. Yep. He got the flashlight in his mouth. His head is down. His head is down because he knows that there's a camera there. All right, let's keep going. This is Savannah Guthrie's husband, who was spotted in an airport. Now, I'm actually more interested in Tommaso, who's in Italy right now, than Savannah Guthrie's husband. But this is Savannah Guthrie's husband. TMZ caught him in the airport.
Michael, how are you, sir? Michael, how's the family holding up? Is there anything you can say?
It's Michael.
All right. Michael, is there anything you want to say to the people who have done this? Michael,
yeah, I'm not really feeling this. Like, why are you bothering him for? Like, all right, you know, TMZ has a job to do. I get it. You go, you ask him the question. If he clearly doesn't want to talk, doesn't want to give a statement, just leave him alone. You know, he's a victim. This is not a celebrity. Well, he is a person that's in public office. I mean, not public office, but in the public eye. But he's not a celebrity. He's a victim. His mother-in-law is gone, and there's never been any type of allegation that he had anything to do with it. Some people talk about Epstein stuff. I don't know much about that, so that's why I don't talk about it. Anything's possible in this world. But other than that, like, why would you hound him like this? You know, I would be very tempted to put hands and feet on this guy if I'm in Michael's position. I would probably sternly tell him, like, yo, get away from me, man. And give him the face. And let's just keep going. This was uncouth. This was disgusting. Look at this.
Anything you can say?
Look at his face. What do you mean anything you can say? He's not. This is not a scandal. You're not reporting on a scandal. His mother-in-law is missing, bro. Leave him alone.
It's Michael.
All right. Michael, is there anything you want to say to the people who have done this? Michael, how's the family holding up? Anything you can say?
Beat it, man. Anyway, this is disgusting. All right, let's keep going. Nancy Guthrie investigates volunteers jump at chance to help in search.
Now entering its fourth week as investigators are looking into more than 21,000 tips to find her. And it comes as the Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos says new DNA from Nancy Guthrie's home is, quote, mixed. And this is raising some challenges.
Why is he reporting that? Why is he reporting that the DNA is mixed? Like, first of all, we always get mixed DNA, but why is he reporting that? We don't need to know that. The bad guys don't need to know that it's going to be very difficult parsing out individual DNA profiles because it's mixed. Every single lab is equipped and capable of separating mixed DNA. Listen, you're not always going to get a profile out of it. I've got many a DNA reports that says insufficient material in order to create a DNA profile because it's mixed DNA. All right, it is what it is. But why is he reporting that? That's insane to me.
Over DNA analysis. News Nation's Brian Enton, he is live in Tucson. So, Brian, we saw some law enforcement presence near Nancy Guthrie's home in our last hour. It appears now that activity died down a bit.
It did, yeah. I think we still have our live drone up, and the sheriff's office has cleared out. It seems like there was an issue. One of the neighbors wasn't happy about possibly someone trespassing on her property, so the deputies came out, but it is quieted down now. You mentioned though the DNA. It's not exactly the update we were hoping for. The sheriff now saying that there are challenges with the DNA testing that's happening at a private lab in Florida that the sheriff's office uses. And then he says it could take weeks, months, or even a year, which is certainly not what anybody following this case wants to hear. There are volunteer search teams that have gathered and started searching on their own. It's the first.
Once again, hey, bad guys, we're having such a tough time finding you. It might take us up to a year to find you. You got time to figure this out. You got time to decide what you want to do with Nancy. Does she live? Does she die? Do we send her to Mexico? Do we traffic her, put her in a bordello or something like that? We just figure it out. It's crazy. But don't worry. Enjoy your summer. We're definitely not going to find you by the summer. Come on, bro. Too much information.
Time I've seen that happen since we've been here. They were out and about today around Nancy's home. They even went into some tunnels in the area. They were looking under rocks. I mean, really during the thorough search. We spoke with one woman who said that she really just feels emotionally connected to the case. Take a listen.
What is she doing with that stick?
My mother
That's a big old stick that lady got.
died many years ago, and she would be around Nancy's age now. And if this was her, I would want people to do what they could to help me find my mom. We
Oh, wait. Is she blind or something? I think she might be blind.
can't change the past. We can only do what we can today. So the minute I heard that something had been organized,
Oh, no. I thought she was like vision impaired and that stick was helping her or something like that. No. Somebody said it's for the rattlesnakes. But she's like not making eye contact. She's like talking like this. I thought she was like doing a Stevie Wonder or something. But let's keep going.
here we are. I didn't know him 3 hours ago, but we've teamed up on this.
All right, that kid. I'm sorry.
People obviously feel emotionally connected to this case, Kelly, for different reasons. The sheriff also saying that they're continuing to work to identify the items that the suspect was wearing in those surveillance photos and videos that we've seen. Remember, they figured out the backpack and they know that it was purchased at Walmart, but he says they're getting closer to figuring out where the shoes and the pants and the jacket were also purchased. Kelly?
Wow, yeah.
Teddy is just diabolical. Teddy said, you know how many snakes are in Tucson? You'd have a big stick too. Oh, God. Disgusting.
Oh, my God. That could provide a critical break in this case. All right, Brian Enton with all the very latest for us. Brian,
all right.
as
Big
always,
shout out to
thank
Brian
you.
Enton. He's doing a really good job reporting on this case, man. Amazing job. All right, let's keep going. So now we got Ashley Banfield. Let's see what she got going on.
I'm Ashley Banfield, and this is Drop Dead Serious. I have very big news that I can break to you tonight about the Nancy Guthrie investigation. I have spoken with one of my sources, and I did not know this before. I'm going to tell you about that in a second. Quick housekeeping, though. Tomorrow night, I'm going to hold a members-only Q&A session. All the questions you have about the Nancy Guthrie case, as well as any other questions that you want to ask. Big Q&A session tomorrow. That's Sunday, February the 22nd at 6 p.m. Eastern. If you're not a member, hit the join button and then you can submit your questions as well. If you are a member already, I put the link to the chat. It's a little more fascinating, the reporting that's coming out today, as well as what I've discovered from my source, just sort of puts me in a whole different direction now. I've spoken to someone who is in law enforcement, is familiar with the investigation, who has told me that the blood found, and again, blood found inside the house, this is something that I reported on day 3, that another source of mine, a high-level law enforcement source, reported there was blood found inside the house. no one in law enforcement, the sheriff, et cetera, has confirmed that. But my source said there was blood found in the house. Today, another law enforcement source familiar with the investigation has said that the pattern of that blood inside the house matches the pattern outside the house, outside Nancy's front door.
So this is my thing. I don't think Nancy was bleeding because she was beaten. That blood, and listen, like I said, I explained my qualifications when I talked about the blood initially. I don't deal with a lot of bloody crime scenes because I do special victims investigations. But I am a trained crime scene investigator. And part of that was blood pattern analysis and all of that. Do I use that training every single day? No, because now that I'm in the police department, when I was in corrections, I used it almost every day. There was always a crime scene for me to work on. But now that I'm in the police department, we have a dedicated crime scene unit. So as a detective, I don't have to use my crime scene skills. I just use my crime scene skills to kind of like make sure that the crime scene unit is getting me the evidence that I want, because I know what they're looking for. So I'm like, almost like for a lot of detectives, they kind of just like let them do their thing. But for me, because I know how to do crime scene and I'm certified, it's kind of like, I keep them honest, right? I'm not being disrespectful. They have their job, I have my job, but I'm that guy that's like, what about right here? You know, maybe you might want to use the magnetic dust on that instead of the regular dust because, that surface might take the magnetic a little bit better. They hate me. I don't care. It's my crime scene. The buck stops with me. Okay? All right. So that being said, based off of my training, my experience, that does not look like I got stabbed or cut blood. I got stabbed or cut blood usually involves spray patterns. You hit an artery, your heart is pumping, you're getting that. Anybody who got a bad cut, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's almost surreal when it first happens, before it pulls up, when it rips you open and you see the skin split and you see those arteries, you see them squirting pss, 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 as your heart is pumping. That has a distinct pattern. This is like a slow drip. It's a lot of blood, but it's a drip. So it's kind of like either A, because she's old and she's brittle, and I hate to use the word brittle. Can't think of anything else, but I mean, no disrespect, but she's older and more fragile. Maybe that's a better way of saying it. Maybe she got cut, and so now that blood is coming out. A nosebleed would be a good one. A mouth bleed. Maybe she got hit in her mouth, or maybe she hurt her mouth. I'm not really a big fan of the mouth bleed because now you're going to get mixtures with blood, with spit rather. When you look at those spots on the ground, that's pure blood. It's pure blood. There's no spit, snot in it. It's just pure blood. A nosebleed will give you that rich red blood. A deep cut in the hand is going to give you that rich red blood. So I think that maybe due to the trauma and the stress, she got a nosebleed. We also have to take into consideration that she's on blood thinners because she has a pacemaker. And when you get that blood thinner and you get cut and you're taking like a real dose, not that you're taking one aspirin because it's good for you. We should all take an aspirin. If you're not allergic to it, the doctors have already proven, take a low dose aspirin a day and you'll live for all eternity. And if you eat pineapples before you do the nani, you can make a boy. Just throwing it out there. Okay. We're talking about medicated blood thinners. We're talking about this is what you got to take for you to live. I can see her leaking like that by stress and from trauma. These mass people, person or persons breaking into your home, threatening you, scaring you, and now she's leaking all over the floor. That's what I'm thinking. That's my theory. Could be wrong. This is my theory. Let's keep going.
You've seen that video where you can see droplets of Nancy Guthrie's blood.
And that's another thing. The blood, as I stated before, I said this before any of these experts that I've heard them. Who knows? I don't watch all these shows, but I've said it on my show weeks ago. The blood is clearly falling straight down. It's not being thrown, splattered. It's clearly falling straight down. It's either like I'm holding my hand and my hand is leaking, or I'm holding my nose and it's dripping down off my chin and it's falling straight down. Big shout out to Steelers Nation 1275 at a $10 super chat says, what you're saying is the exact thing that I've always said, and I have people looking at me as if I have three heads. Way too much information is given out. The criminals, I'm sure, is glued to the TV. Yep, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Big shout out to you, Steelers Nation. Appreciate you for supporting the channel. Let's keep going. Guys, please hit that like button. We have 830 people, man. Now, listen, I will say this. When I check my metrics, because YouTube tells me everything about you guys, 30% of the people who watch this show are actually watching on their TVs. So and only a little bit of those people know how to actually finagle their remotes to hit the like button. So I give you guys a break. But for the 60% to 70% of you guys who are watching on tablets and cell phones, hit the like button. If you're here, it means you at least interested in what I have to say, and I just want my show to grow. I want my channel to grow. All right, if I had 1 million viewers, I wouldn't ask you to, hit the like button. Who cares? You got 1 million subscribers. But this is a small growing YouTube channel. We're trying to make our way, and we're trying to be heard with the big boys because we have something to say. Whether you agree with me or not, I have experience. I've been doing this for a long time. And, listen, it matters to have different points of view on this platform. So help us by hitting that like button so that we can grow as a channel. Let's keep going.
Leading away from her front door and down the gravel path to the driveway. But those pattern droplets, as many experts have, described it, are as vertical. They fall straight up and down, 90 degrees, and there's no smears, there's no stepping in it, there's no struggle, there's no signs of struggle on that front doorstep. My source tells me it is exactly the same inside the house.
Right.
That there's
That's
no sign of
beautiful.
struggle in that blood. It's not
I'm
smeared.
happy that we finally getting some insight from Ashley. This is at least from her source, and this is alleged. She's not saying it, but I'm gonna say it for her. It's alleged. We don't really know. We're just going off of her source, but she trusts her sources, and hey, it's her sources. So it's alleged, but at least we're getting something because they have not told us what happened in that house. Everything that we have stops at that front door. We don't know what's happening on the other side of that door. And at least Ashley Banfield is giving us some insight into what's happening on the other side of the door. Big shout out.
There's no steps. They are those straight up and down drop pattern blood. I asked where in the house, and I did not get that answer. I can't tell you if it was in the bedroom, if it was in the front entrance. What I can tell you is that at the time that 911 was called and sheriff's deputies were dispatched, and patrolman came. Basically, it was a call about a missing elderly woman. They were not aware at the time that this was much more than a missing elderly woman, but the signs, again, and this is a second source now telling me this, is that the back door was wide open. The blood droplets were inside the house and outside the house, and the front camera had been knocked off its mount. My first source said smashed, cameras plural, nest. Second source now saying definitely camera knocked off or ripped off or gone, moved off in some way. And so this is just fascinating because at the same time that I'm learning this information about these blood droplets inside the house matching blood droplets, the same pattern outside the house, there's reporting that comes from NBC that the sheriff has given an interview to NBC, taped it yesterday, it was released today, and I'm recording this at 10 o'clock at night, Saturday, February 21st. And this is what the reporting says, that there are no names that the sheriff's team is looking into. And there's a snag.
Hold on here real quick. I want to give a big shout out to that one girl, Melly. I just went on her page. Sometimes I click people's screen names to see what they got going on. And it looks like she got a true crime channel. We definitely appreciate Melly coming through and showing us love. I love when other creators, big or small, come through and show us love, And listen, we still on our grind, but I definitely remember when I just had 5,000 subs. She got a whole lot more than that, but I remember when I had 5,000. So I want to give a big shout out to Melly. She does true crime. Go check her out. I'm going to check her out a little bit later when I have some time, but definitely go check her out because she's always in my chat showing that love. We definitely appreciate that. We want to reciprocate that love, all right? Let's keep going.
The mixed DNA at the Florida lab that the sheriff is using. What's interesting is Michael Ruiz from Fox says, like, this runs completely counter to what we've been told till now, or at least what we've discovered. Reporters and investigators who are looking into this case have discovered the statements from local law enforcement do not match what we've learned with our own eyes, that there are names that have been taken and photographs to various gun shops all around Tucson.
All right, so this is what I'm going to do, guys. Unfortunately, I'm going to stop this right here. I'm going to definitely direct you to go over to Ashley Banfield and watch the rest of this for yourself. It's 15 minutes. I would have liked to maybe do another 20 minutes of it, but I got to be honest with myself, guys. I worked a night shift last night. I got home at around 9 o'clock, so from 11 p.m. to 9 a.m. And then I went to sleep and woke up at 1 o'clock. So from 10:30 to 1 o'clock is what I slept. That's like 4 hours. And then I've been up ever since. And now I have to wake up at 5 in the morning to go work the day shift. And then we also have a major snowstorm to contend with, so I'm not even sure how I'm going to even get out of my driveway rather. So I need to get sleep. I can't be falling asleep on the road at 5, 6 in the morning because I'm tired trying to get, down to work during one of the biggest snowstorms in the last 5 years. So I apologize for that, guys. We're getting a lot of snow here. And unfortunately, I can't call out. All right. I can't. I got one of the nicest bosses on the planet. And if you try and call out on a snowstorm, he's going to say, we all got the same problem. You got to get to work. And I get it. I've drunk the Kool-Aid. Would I love to stay home with my family? My kids, their schools got canceled. I'd love to stay home and hang out all day. But I drank the Kool-Aid. There are people out there that need help. And me having to deal with a little snow is nothing compared to what the people who come into my office have to deal with. So it's a small sacrifice I have to make. And I'm committed to give them that help. So guess what? I'm going to bring my ass to work. So I see you guys on the next one. Big shout out to all of my members. Thank you so much for showing love to the channel. To all of the Patreon subscribers, thank you so much for coming through and showing love. You guys are amazing. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out the door. Support us, please, so that we can grow. We can get into that algorithm. I see you guys on the next one. Strategic is out of here. Peace.